Coach, how you doing this today? Congratulations after a great win last night.
Thank you very much. We're doing well. I hope you are also.
Yes, sir. I want to follow up from my question last night. I felt Tyler Bass was kicking the ball well. What are some of the things you worked on with him, with the special teams coach? And after watching the film, what exactly went wrong on the block? Was that just a competitive play by the other side?
That was something that, was a little bit of a technique issue on our part. So it is something that we need to address moving forward. We'll work on that. As far as T-Bass, he's a guy that works hard at his craft, and I think he had a good week of practice and it showed up in the game.
And just my last question to you, health-wise, how did you come out?
Right. So we lost Tylen Grable to a groin muscle injury, core muscle injury yesterday. So he will not practice and more than likely be out for some time.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Sure thing.
Hey, Sean. John Rowe. Hope you had a good evening or got some rest. Question about injuries and whether we can expect anything from Taron Johnson or Terrell Bernard this week.
Both are improving, John, and they'll do a little bit more this week, but they will not make it back for this game.
And secondly, the whole everybody eats mantra on offense. How significant was that when it was introduced this offseason and we heard it from Joe Brady back in May? And how big has it been to see how it's developed and translated onto the field?
Yeah, I mean, the unselfishness of that mantra, if you will, is huge, right? I think that's a key aspect of really good teams across all sports, that unselfish nature. And I think that's what you're seeing on full display, and what you saw last night. 10 guys caught balls. James and Ray and Ty all shared some carries and had their share of success on the ground as well. So, just a good, healthy dose of unselfishness.
Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean. Hope you're doing well. Just wanted to follow up a bit on Taron and Terrell. Are you able to fully rule out IR for either of them at this point?
I would hope so. I think they're trending in the right direction, Catherine. It's and if I hope we don't have to do that. If so, we've wasted a couple weeks here or so. But I think we're rather confident about their timeline, and it's going to probably bump up into that 2.5 to 4 week area. But I just feel like where we're at with it is we're moving forward in a good way. And we are looking forward to getting those guys back, but they're not going to be back. They will not return this week.
Gotcha. Thanks for the clarity on that. I was wondering, when you watched back the game last night, what did you see from Christian Benford?
Yeah, good solid technique, good solid focus, controlling the things that he can control, played well in the run and the pass game. I thought he had a real solid game.
Thanks.
Sure. That's it, right? We're good.
Hey, Sean, how are you? It's funny. I was thinking about Spencer Brown signing that extension a couple weeks ago, and it feels very eerily similar to Ed last year, signing his extension and then kind of proving it almost immediately. He's been among the best offensive linemen in the league through 3 weeks, and I know you don't like to get too far or give too much praise too early. But how good has he been, and how important has that been to the success of your offense?
No, yeah, Spence is a big part of our offense. I mean, last night I thought our offensive line did a great job winning the line of scrimmage against a good unit there, defensive line that has had some success defending the run, affecting the quarterback. And I thought our offensive line really played well, which is good to see, and something we're going to need every week. I mean, because the challenge is going to be just as big this week against the Ravens. So very pleased with what I saw last night.
And then, for Joe, obviously with the way that the offense has been scoring points, a lot of praise, rightfully so. But inside the building, when you look at the evolution and development of your offensive coaching staff, how much can you pinpoint, the experience of guys like Rob Boris and Aaron Cromer, and how much they've helped Joe as he's kind of taken the reins here, and just the cohesiveness on that staff?
Yeah, that's big. I think I mentioned it last night. One of Joe's greatest qualities, he's got many, but one of them is that he's a good listener. And when you have veteran, teammates, coaches on your staff to have those conversations with, that have seen a lot of ball, been around a lot of football, that goes a long way, right? That there's mutual respect both ways, and a good amount of collaboration, as you said, and communication and trust ultimately. And so that's been a real good thing. And then we've got, a good blend of some younger coaches as well that are able to learn and benefit from the wisdom that Chrome and Rob have. And so RC's been around a lot of ball as well, both as a coach and a player now. So a player and a coach now. So it's a good group. And I couldn't be more pleased with how they're working well together during the week.
And one more quick one, with Taryn going to be out again this week, what have you seen from Cam Lewis, and, especially looking ahead to Baltimore specifically, and the necessity for physicality and tackling against that front? What has he done that kind of has elicited confidence amongst the group and amongst the coaches?
Well, Cam, he's been here a few years now, and he's worn different hats. So any hat that he's been asked to wear, he's handled it extremely well. I mean, he's poised, he's mature, he's a good football player. So, very confident in his ability to go out there and execute for us.
Thanks, Sean.
Yep.
Hey, Sean, thanks for taking a couple minutes here for us today. After week one, Bobby Babich talked about how after the first half, he kind of needed to decompress a little bit. And we've seen the defense look much different after that first half against Arizona. We hear players a lot of times talk about the game slowing down for them. Have you seen that a little bit with Bobby as he's gotten more and more reps, and, as you all like to say, time on task?
Yes, Josh. No, you're right. It's the game moves fast when you're new to it or in a new seat, and it happened to me. It certainly happens to a lot of us. And when you're wired, though, in such a way like Bobby is, with that growth mindset to learn from every experience, and then to put in a lot of time the next week applying those lessons that you learned from the week before, it only helps. And it helps, like you said, to slow the game down. So whether you're a player or a coach in this case, Bobby continues to grow and learn, and so does the entire defensive staff. I know the offensive staff was mentioned as well, and feel really good about the defensive staff as well, and their ability to work together and solve problems, because problems come up even when you are 3-0, and things we have to do to improve, whether it's Monday through Saturday or come Sunday in the game. So that's an important trait of a good staff.
That's all I got time for, Sean, because Perino took so long. Appreciate the time.
I'll let you guys work that out.
Hey, Coach, how do you begin to prepare for stopping a running back like Derrick Henry, who went off last week against the Cowboys?
Affordable price.
See how much you could save with a free estimate today.
Your successful future begins at Hilbert College. We'll match you with a major that best fits your interests. Come visit us at Open House on October 12th and November 9th.
I think someone needs to hit mute on their screen.
Open House.
Someone listening to. I don't know.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry, Maddie. I can't remember what you were asked because I was thinking about Hilbert College.
Resolution was
I'll
filed
ask it
last
again.
week.
I-
Temporarily.
It was that
Okay.
one.
I think the
ahead.
coast is clear.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
How do you begin to prepare for slowing a
Yeah.
running back like Derrick Henry?
Yeah, that one's an easy one, not to answer, but to address. It's I don't know that anybody's ever stopped him. I mean, it's an all day affair when you have the weapons that they have on offense. And I mean, was watching the game on TV the other day as we were preparing for meetings that night, prior to our game, and I mean, it was just talk about controlling the line of scrimmage and physicality. And I know Coach Harbaugh, and I'm sure he's preaching that because I know just being around him what he believes in, at least to a certain extent, and really, really well coached team. And they were in full effect against Dallas, and that's a good team, Dallas is. So, we're going to have our work cut out for us, that's for sure.
Thanks.
Sure.
Good afternoon, Coach. George Radney, Challenger Community News. How you doing?
Good, George. How are you today?
Doing all right on a rainy Monday, or rainy Tuesday, as it seems here.
It's not raining, George. It's not raining here.
Oh, that's why you smiling. That's why it's got the good luck on your side is going so far, 3-0 and everything. But first question is, what is it with the Ravens? You seem to have really come out with really well thought out game plans against them. Every time the Bills have played the Ravens so far under your leadership, you seem to be able to control Lamar Jackson enough that he doesn't just doesn't come up, have the big plays. They don't have the big explosive plays against you so far.
I don't know. I mean, I think our players just really do a good job executing. The staff, over the years has done a good job putting their heads together collectively and coming up with a good plan. But the execution, more than anything, is where it ends, right? So it's a tough challenge to go against Lamar. He's the reigning MVP, and for good reason, right? So it'll be a tough challenge for us on Sunday night and going down there at their place. We've got to have a good week of practice and put a good plan together, like you said.
Is that gap integrity very important so that you don't overrun the play? Critical against a quarterback like Jackson?
It's probably part of it, but at the end of the day, I'm not sure gap integrity always matters when you're talking about Lamar with the ball in his hands, So what an athlete, what a quarterback, what a player, right? And that's why he is who he is around the league.
And lastly, this everybody eats theme. I remember at St. John Fisher, every player from rookie to veteran, when I interviewed them, they would mention that theme, everybody eats, during their conversation. How did that get started? And who started that theme? Who came up with the theme for this year?
Yeah, that's a good question. I got to give credit to Joe, but I'm not sure if it was Joe, but to me, it originated with Joe. I don't know. That's a better question for Joe, probably. I just go with it. Hey, it's become theirs, and so I just go with it and flow with it. So,
well, definitely everybody's bought into it. So, definitely good luck this coming Sunday night.
Thank you, George. Appreciate it.
Hey, Sean. I was wondering a bit about Al Holcomb. You've obviously worked with him in different capacities for a while now, but just what have you seen out of him this year? There's been some obvious challenges with the group, but how have you seen him kind of help the room navigate all those obstacles?
Yeah, right. So Al and I go back to our time in Carolina together, and fortunate to be able to get Al up here the start of last season. And he was in, albeit a different role then, but Al's got a great track record of developing players, not only, really good players like all pro players like Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis, but then other players that have gone on to do great things as well. I mean, look at what he's done this year. Look at what he did in Carolina when we didn't have, say, Luke for a certain period of time, and how he developed A.J. Klein, or when we didn't have Thomas for a certain amount of games as well. So, and now with what he's doing with the injuries we have at the linebacker position. So, a lot of respect for Al. He's a valuable part of our staff and a good teammate as well.
what is it about his coaching style that helps him develop players so much?
Well, he has an understanding, I think, of the game and offensive football, and also a deep understanding of what we're trying to get done defensively and how the linebackers fit into the overall equation. So I think that, and he's come up around some really good coaches, Tom Coughlin being one of them, and he's won a Super Bowl with the Giants years ago, and so you learn a lot, like when you're around a good coach, a veteran coach like Coach Coughlin, and he's used that to I'm sure help him in his career, and I'm sure he uses a lot of what he learned being around Coach Coughlin, and and with Al, he's always evolving, and he's always, I know, really interested in how the game's evolving. So that, again, that growth mindset, not to wear that out, but I think it is important, because if you stay curious about things, I think you tend to grow.
Thank you.
Sure.
Coach Mookie Harkins, World Sports 1080. Great win yesterday.
Thanks, Mookie. Appreciate it. How's your team doing, buddy?
Yeah, I think we was kind of similar in points over the weekend. I just left Krispy Kreme, no glaze out there, but they're kind of similar. I'm hearing about this great 8th grader out there at Orchard Park who's tearing up the modified division out there. So keeping my ear to the ground.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate it.
Coach, man, just care to talk about Dion Dawkins, his approach going into this season with his leadership, and also the trenches, man. How impressed are you about the way your teams are playing in the trenches so far?
Yeah, that's a must, man. We got to play well every week. It's got to be physical, and the guys understand that. And I mean, you're usually only as good as your front on both sides of the ball, and we don't experience what we experienced last night without those guys. So we value those guys, love what they do. They don't get a lot of credit. Some of them probably like that, right? So just kind of stay in the bullpen and do what they do. And but it is important what they do. So very proud of those guys to this point in the season, and we've got to continue to grow.
Absolutely, got to love those dirty workers, right? You talked about it just a minute ago as far as that growth mindset and how things are always evolving and maturing, right? Josh Allen, how poised, how he's just all of a sudden just letting the game come to him, what it seems like in these past 3 games. Just scared to talk about the next phase of Josh's maturation that you see.
Yeah, he's been very consistent, consistent in his performance on the field, consistent in his approach, consistent in his just willingness to take what the defense is giving him. And I think that's probably the biggest thing I've witnessed over the course of the first 3 games of this season. Season's young, and so I'm looking forward to how he's going to continue to do that. He'll be defended a little bit different week to week, but his maturation, as you said, his development has been fun to watch.
Absolutely, Coach. Fantastic job. Have a great week of practice.
All right. Thanks, Mookie. You too.